All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Marty?
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Castillo? Ms. Gill?
Here.
Ms. Litton? Here. Ms. Russell? And Mr. Webb? Mr. Webb? Thank you. Sorry. Thanks.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, we'll call the...
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, would someone please move to adopt the agenda? Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is Section 2.01, Public Comments and Requests. In accordance with School Board Bylaw 2.30, the time for each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Additional written statements may be submitted to the clerk for dissemination to board members and for their record. I know we have one in-person public comment. Ms. Goodell, do we have any that came in over email?
Yes, we do. We have one from Mrs. Henderson, who is a parent who was stating that she would like the dress code in the student handbook to be updated to be gender neutral.
Thank you, Ms. Goodell. So our first in-person public comment is Paul Boson and Hannah Jordan.
Good evening. So it is wonderful to be with you here. This is quite a bit more formal than the conference room over at Central Office. And with that, we wanted to come and, from the perspective of welcoming Falls Church, offer you all an update about some plans that we have for the fall. We want to thank you for your past support of different initiatives and partnership and collaboration with us institutionally through our work with FCCPS. And also, we view this as part of an ongoing effort of public outreach to connect with the community, because that's important, because what we're talking about here is how we think, how we feel, how we engage together to build a community of neighbors. So with that said, the big update is I think you all have heard that we have invited Mbolo Mbui, the author of Behold the Dreamers, to Falls Church. That is at the beginning of Welcoming Week in September. So Welcoming Week is the annual occasion when all over the country, communities which are recognizing Welcoming America's effort to welcome immigrants and refugees to the community, organize public activities, public events of different sorts during a given week each fall. So this falls in mid-September. It's actually great timing, because the day that would kick off Welcoming Week here is actually the day of the Falls Church Festival here at Cherry Hill Park. So there'll be a lot of activity, a lot of life in the community, making it a great day, we think, for a public address by Mbolo Mbui, the author of Behold the Dreamers, which will potentially be either at Mason or at MEH. In some capacity presented potentially as a peer at university, although we'll definitely love to work with you all in whatever way makes sense. To take an author who has been uniquely able to connect with the people who've read the book, who I've spoken to. It's really neat to see how the themes in the book weave together and contemplate the contemporary immigrant experience, but also look at the story of a wealthy family in New York. And so, as we look at our community and the way that there's a lot going on here, this book really connects well and quite consistently with people. And so we think it's a great vehicle to encourage people to think deeply and to think about these issues in a more human way than might sometimes be the case. This is not going to be a lecture format. This is not going to be facts and figures, numbers. Hopefully, through literature, we might be able to encourage people to think deeply and think well about these issues. The events of the day will continue with the Mary Riley Stiles Public Library co-sponsoring author signing. They will be at the Falls Church Festival. And then up the road at the Tyson's Pimmitt Hill Library, they'll be hosting a public talk, which will be more of an author talk. Okay, not so much immigration and the American dream, but more of an author talk at the library, where she first had the idea to write the book. So the author is engaged in this deeply. She's very excited about this, I can tell, and so we think it's a great way to kick off Welcoming Week. The last thing I'll mention, and then I'll hand over to Hannah, is we very much want to connect this to the community and also the school community. So one idea that's percolated, Kevin Clark at George Mason is interested in having the talk filmed and then edited in a way that would make it a good discussion vehicle for the Wild Horse Wednesday to follow the Saturday author talk. So as we look at how Welcoming Week would shape up, that would be yet another activity where we'd be able to reach a different segment of the community, our high school students at Mason. Okay, so glad to take any questions if you have any. Thank you very much for your support. There's more to come, but wanted to offer that update.
Hi, I'm Hannah Jordan, and I don't have much to say to follow up, but we are trying to get some community book groups going, and so we're advertising some of those on our webpage. So I think there's a couple that are already on there, but if you know of anyone or you want to be involved in that, you can come to one or you can host one. We're also recommending the book Refugee by Alan Gratz for the middle school students and perhaps even like 4th and 5th graders or even 9th and 10th graders, just kind of depending on the kid. It's a little more accessible to that middle age range. And my daughter and I are reading it now, and it's awesome. She's a rising 9th grader, and she's really enjoying it. So just wanted to put that out there. Is that about it? And also, we brought your present, and we're going to leave you a copy of the book because, we also talked to the owner of One More Page Books, and they're trying to kind of get involved and recommend it and work with some local teachers who have been teaching the book or in their English classes. I don't even know what school, it might have been in Arlington, but we're about including the community, so that's good. Anyway, so we got some books for you that I'll leave over here, I guess. Thanks.
And finally, let me thank Dr. Noonan for his recommendation to parents and the community in his year-end communication about this book. The impact has been profound. I went over to the Mary Riley Stiles Public Library and we talked about it, and they were delighted to put up a big display about the book right at the checkout desk. I don't know if you've been over there lately, but we also gifted 6 copies of the book to the library, and as of last week, they were all checked out. So, this is not necessarily something that everybody needs to read, but it's really compelling. And now, if you're looking for summer reading, or if you already have the book, please gift it to someone else. So, thank you. Any questions?
Thank you so much. I have read the book, and I passed it on to Dr. Noonan. So we've now both read the book, so we can pass along our 2 copies to someone else here who would like to read it. So next on the agenda is our closed meeting. Would someone please read us into closed? Thank you.
Pursuant to the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, I move that the board convene a closed meeting for the following purpose: to discuss or consider the identified subject matter, personnel under Section 2.2-3711A, 1, in particular, staff appointment, staff reassignment, staff resignation, staff retirement, staff performance, staff separation, staff change in position, non-reappointments, child care leave, long-term medical leave, and leave of absence, and advisory committee appointments.
Thank you, Ms. Russell. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Great. Thank you. This should be very brief. Thank you.
Now we just got to figure out where.
All right. Would someone please move to reconvene us to open meeting?
Madam Chair, I move to reconvene.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Litton. Would someone please certify the closed meeting?
Whereas the Falls Church City School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.2-3711B of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Falls Church City School Board hereby certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, 1, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirement 5 Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification applies, and 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, and considered.
Thank you, Ms. Russell. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Litton.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Castillo? Aye. Ms. Gill?
Aye.
Ms. Litton? Aye. Ms. Russell? Aye. And Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have no recognitions or reports this evening. I would ask unanimous consent to approve unanimous approval to approve the consent agenda as presented. Thank you. So next we move on to our business and action information. 7.01 VSBA Media Honor Roll. Dr. Noonan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone. There are 2 members in our community that we would like to recognize for the Falls Church Public Schools Media Honor Roll that would ultimately be the Virginia School Boards Association Honor Roll. And the first is Nick Benton, who is the publisher and editor-in-chief for the Falls Church News Press, and also Matt Delaney, who is one of the editors and reporters for the Falls Church News Press. There are 2 resolutions in your packet, and if you're so inclined and would like to read those, you may, but I'll leave that to you. But we would like to recognize Nick Benton and Matt Delaney for their efforts on behalf of the schools.
Thank you, Dr. Noonan. Since they are not present tonight, I will refrain from reading the resolution. Next, we have 7.02. Oh, do we need to approve that? Sorry. Yes. Okay. Would someone please move that the school board approve and adopt the media honor roll resolutions? Sorry. Oh, there's a motion. Sorry. Yeah.
Madam Chair, I move the school board approve and adopt the 2019 VSBA Media Honor Roll Resolution 04-19 and 05-19 as presented, recognizing Nicholas Benton, publisher and editor-in-chief of the Falls Church News Press, and Matt Delaney, news reporter for the Falls Church News Press, for their ongoing and exemplary nature of reporting on the Falls Church City Public Schools to the community.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Is there a second? Thank you, Ms. Russell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstain? Thank you very much. All right, next we have 7.02, Summer in the City. Dr. Noonan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe Mr. Brett is going to put up the sheet that we sent around. This is the time of year where we love the answer more than the question. And the question is, why don't you guys have the summer off? And the answer is because we're planning a 9-month party in 3 months. And, oh, by the way, we have a ton of stuff going on in the summer here in the City of Falls Church. So like we did last year, I thought it would be a good opportunity to talk through just briefly some of the things that are going on. And we've called it affectionately the Summer in the City the last couple of years. And I'd like to do it again this year. And I'll start with Jesse Thackeray. And these are also up online in board docs, and so you probably have seen them, but for the benefit of the community, I do want to kind of go through them. At Thackeray, we do have a 4-week ESY, or extended school year program, where we're serving 28 students. This summer program is offered certainly to those students that receive ESY or extended school year services, but is also open to any other students that would like to come. The objectives there are really to engage students in play-based learning activities that with a little bit of literacy skill built into there, music and exercise as well. The students that are on extended school year program do receive, as part of that, very specialized instruction. The contact person for those that may be interested is Seamus O'Connor, and Seamus is our coordinator of special education here in the City of Falls Church. That program, like all the others, mostly have started this week. They actually started yesterday. The second one is the Mount Daniel Summer Academy. We're serving 52 students at Mount Daniel this year, and it's a 4-week program to support math and literacy-based skills, specifically focusing around the DRA, or the Developmental Reading Assessment, the PALS, and those students will also engage in some social emotional learning as well. We're focusing a lot of our attention on students that have been in some ways marginalized, not in our schools, but perhaps otherwise. So they're getting some extra additional language support as part of our LEAP program. So we have looked at students that are below the DRA benchmark and are serving those students as well. At Thomas Jefferson,